everybody? It's your buddy and pal Karnak, Serenity Wargaming and Explanations, doing a Armada video on the Officer TI-99. So oh, where is he at? There he is. There's the droid themselves. TI-99 is an officer for the Separatist faction. How can you tell? If you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the card, you'll see the officer icon there. Opposite corner, you'll see the Separatist faction icon, along with a point cost of 4 points, which I feel is appropriately costed. And with TI-99, we're going to explore, potentially why this officer isn't taken so often, but why you should be taking this officer more often. We're going to get into some gameplay details, some encounters I've had. But like always, we're going to start by reading the card in full. I just give a quick, hey, this is how it works. And then if you want to get more into the intricacies in the fleet building aspects with this upgrade, stick around for that. Okay. First thing is in front of TI-99. You're going to see a little dot or a bullet point. Signifies that this upgrade card is unique. You can only ever have one TI-99 in your fleet. And as it reads, while a friendly unactivated squadron is at distance 1 to 3, it gains counter 3, or if it has the printed counter keyword, gains an additional counter 1. After it performs a counter attack, toggle its activation slider to the activated slide. What does this all mean in a nutshell? Essentially, this officer only works with unactivated squadrons, because if you use this effect, if the squadron is attacked and it decides to use counter, whether it naturally already has counter or it has the counter from this upgrade card, if you perform a counter attack, if it's unactivated, you will activate its activation slider to be activated. And this does not count as the squadron activating. It's not choosing to activate, okay? It is being activated by this upgrade card. This is an important distinction to make, because there are some effects in the game where it's like, oh, you've activated, so you take damage. It's like, well, no, it did not choose to be activated. It was activated by something else. So I just want to make sure I'm making a clear distinction there. So again, in a nutshell, say if you've got a squadron, like a vulture squadron sitting nearby, it doesn't have counter, or like hyena bombers, again, they don't have counter. If they get attacked, they have counter 3, and you can activate them to then counter back with your blue dice. And then again, they get activated when they do that. So that's how TI-99 works in a nutshell. And I know a lot of people have looked at this card, and I initially was kind of looking at this card, I'm like, this seems counterintuitive. You want to activate squadrons so they go get stuff. They get that bonus from that AI bonus, right? So that was just be clear, like that's the end of kind of like the quick overview. Now we're getting into like the fleet design build and aspects and things like that. Oh, and actually, before I get into that, I want to go over, there is one card clarification, and that is, how does this card work with Dutch Vander? Dutch Vander, when they attack something, they can activate their slider. Same thing, potentially with, or no, just Dutch. Okay, so somebody asked, how does the timing work with Dutch Vander regarding TI-99? And this is the answer that was reached. A squadron that is given the counter keyword or has the counter increased by TI-9's effect would only resolve with an unactivated squadron. A squadron activated by Dutch Vander would not be able to conduct a counterattack if it does not have that keyword printed on the squadron card, and a squadron with the counter keyword cannot increase its counter. So essentially, Dutch Vander is one of the rare exceptions where it will negate TI-99 from being able to do anything, because Dutch Vander's special ability to activate the squadron happens before counter can happen. Essentially, is the timing logic. It's okay. I want to make sure it's clear on that. So getting back to TI-99. So as I was mentioning, to really get the bonus of Separatist squadrons, that AI bonus they come with, where they gain that extra die when they're attacking things, it's like, yeah, I want to activate my squadrons. Like, why do I want to have them sit around unactivated and not doing anything? And that's also pretty much the design concept of squadrons, is like, you've got rogue if you want them to move and attack without being activated. You want that benefit of activating your squadrons, get them in positioning to go out and attack things. And that's true. You do want your squadrons to do that at some point. But what's unique about TI-99 is that that ship can just sit there if you've got a bunch of squadrons huddling around it. If the enemy wants to come get you, especially if it's like a first player, and the first player typically wants that alpha strike, right? That's why they're first player. Then they want to get in, jump your squadrons, and blow them all up before they can do anything, especially those very weak three-hull vultures or tri-fighters. And even though the tri-fighters have counter two, like it's still better to blow them up before they can get their benefit of activating. But this is kind of like where the genius of TI-99 comes in. Is I've seen a fleet use like a Providence carrier, something either with like invisible hand, or they're using the rapid launch bays, or it doesn't even need to be Providence. I've seen this work with a Magnificent Tom's frigate. I've seen this used on the Recusant support destroyer, surprisingly enough, or even on the Recusant light destroyer, although it's better on the support destroyer. Or even somebody just slapping this upgrade card on the Gazanti, and you try to maneuver with your fighter group. And the whole point of this is, especially if you're second player and you can out activate your opponent, if they're a squadron heavy group and they want to come blow up your squadrons, you just wait them out. And so they either will have to come into all this counter three to kill your squadrons, or they sit there not knowing what to do. And then if you're able to have like your Providence go last, or again like your Recusants go last, then if that's your last activation, then you're the one alphaing the first player ships. And that's how you're able to get benefit from TI-99. It's if you really want to come get me, you're going to get hurt with the pain train doing that. And if you don't, then I'm going to come after you with a flight controller's Providence or a flight controller's Recusants, and I'm going to have my AI bonus, and I'm going to blow you up, because TI-99 still works great with hyenas, because hyena bombers are still 2 blue die with flight controllers, and then AI, that's 4 blue dice. That's still very powerful. And again, if you're using vulture droids, again, that's a blue black. So again, you get the double blue, double black. And like you can get a lot of value even just from your weak generic squads. I honestly think TI-99 works best with hyena bombers compared to just more tri-fighters or more vulture droids. Which again, you kind of, if you're separatist, you really want to bring kind of like a combination. It just depends on what you're trying to do. But I found this card to be just devastating with hyena bombers all by itself. You get a lot of value out of your four hole hyena bombers, because again, they're, even though they're not getting the AI bonus, or excuse me, yeah, they're not getting the, no, yeah, they don't get AI bonus attacking squadrons. I misspoke. That's only for tri-fighters and vulture droids. Their AI bonus is for attacking ships. So, so they're 2 blue die and then flight controllers, but that's still 3 blue die, which is, I mean, that's a TIE fighter. So, take it as you will. It's still, you get a lot of value from hyena bombers, again, from vulture droids. But the whole purpose is just waiting out your opponent, and then if they don't do anything, then you just go punch them in the face because they didn't do anything. Like, and you can still be activating like one, a squadron pair here or a squadron pair there. You don't want to leave a whole bunch of unactivated squadrons that aren't going to get a whole lot of benefit. But like, just crowding around, like even a Gazanti with TI-99, the only way they can counter this card is by blowing up that ship. And then guess what they're doing? They're trying to blow up that ship. They're not trying to blow up your other ships. They're not trying to attack your squadron ball, or they might be flacking your squadron ball instead of attacking ships. And you just can get mileage. I had somebody use this tactic against me where they had the invisible hand carrier with TI-99, or not even invisible hand. They had rapid launch bays. Excuse me, because they had 4 squadrons that they just plopped down, or even with invisible hand. Oh, let me back up. Yes, there is one case where somebody had invisible hand. They had a bunch of hyena bombers in there, and they are not hyena bombers because you can't put hyena bombers in. They were vulture droid fighters. Jeez, I am messing all of this up. Please excuse me. I had a bunch of vulture droids in there. They took the 4 vulture droids, they plopped them out, but then they activated 4 other vulture droids to come hop into the squadron fight. So all 4 of them are activated, and then you get into this thing where then you start activating those vulture droids that are at range. And yeah, they're not getting their AI bonus, but they're still at range of the enemy squadron ball where they're able to contribute. And essentially, they were able to negate that second player disadvantage by plopping down 4 squadrons, having 4 other squadrons jump into the fray. And then those 4 squadrons that they put down initially in the squadron phase, they just activated and just start blasting other squadrons. And so essentially, they got their full 8 to contribute to a squadron fight without having to use so many spread out through other activations or spread out elsewhere in the fleet to try to be an activation range. So it was just a very unique way that I saw this upgrade card used. So I think it's a very powerful card. I think it is, if you're bringing separatist squadrons, I think this you honestly should be bringing TI-99 in having them on either the main ship that's trying to get in as a bruiser to really get into the fight, or again having it on a support ship like the Gazanti that is just sticking near all your squadrons in range to get that benefit. But let me know where you've seen TI-99 used or experiences you've had with that upgrade card. There's no other crazy interactions or anything else going on. Again, when you're using TI-99, it's just as long as that squadron is at distance 1 to 3 of that ship, it has counter 3 or counter increased by 1. So for tri-fighters, that's a counter 3 tri-fighter. And again, if they are attacked, you can choose whether or not you want to counter, but if you do counter, you have to activate the squadron with TI-99's effect. So that was another thing I want to make sure I was mentioning, is that you can choose whether or not you want to use counter, but again, if you do counter, you do not have a choice if the squadron is activated or not. You can't be like, oh, I choose not to use TI-99 because, again, the rules for upgrade cards, it's not optional. This card doesn't say it's optional. Counter is optional, but utilizing this card effect is not optional. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. And I've got some exciting news that I'm working to try to get out to everybody. And as with lots of things, it just takes time. But hopefully in the future, I can reveal more about what I've been up to. But until then, I'll see you later. Quick shout out to the sponsors of the channel. Firstly, to Otherworld Events. Regardless if you're needing assistance for event managing, planning, organizing, how to even start, or just need specific ideas for what it is you're doing that you already have a plan for, Otherworld Events can help you out. Second, to Admiral Tater Ship Shop. Admiral Tater Ship Shop, while specializing in Star Wars Armada miniature items, also has X-Wing and Legion items. If you're looking to really get some great looking acrylics on the table, whether it be holders for your upgrade cards or tokens or acrylic tokens, and most importantly, you just want a perfect range ruler with no flaws or errors in it that's going to give you exact measurements every time, highly recommend Admiral Tater. It's the range rulers I use at tournaments. I know they're cut perfectly, they're going to range perfectly, and I'm going to get that best measurement every single time. Also, just look at everything they have available.